Hi everyone, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with another PB&J card class. And this is the last in our series of card videos of our Merry Making Marathon, where we are mass producing unique cards using sketches. And here is a look at the card that we'll be creating today and the sketch. And this sketch is really designed around creating a snowy scene using our little festive family die cut for the snowbanks down at the bottom. It's a great starting off point. It comes from my 2023 ebook Stash Busting Card Sketches. I'll link that ebook for you down below. And I also have 13 more videos that go along with that ebook. So if you're looking for more ideas using this sketch and lots of others, be sure to check out that playlist below. So to start things off, I have stamped this adorable bear from our Bear Tracks clear set using Memento Toffee Crunch ink onto Canson 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. And I'm just using a Pit Artist pen to color in just a few details to darken those up and give it a more finished look once it is done. And this is just a waterproof pen, so I got his eyebrows, his eyes, and his nose. Now this is ready to be painted and I'm using our Penny Black liquid watercolor inks. Just a quick look here at the colors that I'll be using today. All of these will be listed and linked for you down below as well. And I will put a small drop of these onto my palette just to reactivate the ink that's already there and just have a nice little tiny concentrated dot to be painting from as I go. I'm also using our Penny Black brush set as I paint these in, and if you want more information about these inks, my palette, all of my setup for painting, I'll link that video for you down below too. So to paint in this bear, I want him to be kind of a whitish polar bear. So I'm starting with our vanilla ink, and then I'm putting just a little touch while it's still wet of milk chocolate on there. That just kind of warms up the whole scene. And then a little bit of earthen right on top of that. So I think this gives him just like a warm, natural look. Now here I put down the earthen first, just to show you that if you want to keep things very, very simple, you could use just that earthen color to add a few shadows here and there, and he's going to look very nice and complete. But I am going to keep that sort of warm feeling going, so I put a little bit of milk chocolate on there while it was still wet. And I will continue with that here. So I've got some of the vanilla, earthen, and milk chocolate as I paint in the bear. I love it that these inks have those light colors available for you so that you can easily paint in these lighter images. They're very easy to do, and I just love the finished way that they turn out in the end, and it's so easy with these inks. So I guess my point is never underestimate the importance, I think, of having an easy go-to light colored ink in your stash. So I'm just finishing up with the bear. He is so cute. I'm going to use our polished color here for his cheeks and a little touch on his ears. And I'll go ahead and dry him. I like the way he's looking, so I can just use a little heat there to sort of freeze everything as it is as I like it. Now I thought that looked a little too red on his back, so I just came back with a touch more of that earthen color. It also darkened it up and I think gave it a more finished look. And I'll do that here down on these sort of back legs as well. And I'll just hit that real quick with my heat tool. Now I'm going to paint in his presence, and I'm going to keep things pretty simple on these. I am using our color of cardinal, so I'm only using one color of red to paint in these presents. It's a really gorgeous, vibrant red, and I'm picking it up off the palette, and it's most concentrated then on my brush. Then I'm putting it down where I want it to be the darkest. I just rinse off my brush, pat it to dry, and then go back and blend that ink. And that's how you can get that easy dark to light without having to use multiple colors. You can just get it all with one color. So I'm going to dry that because I wasn't sure at this point if I was going to paint the top of the box or the ribbon. So if you're going to be painting any areas that are touching or adjacent to each other, just make sure you've dried the one that you've done already so they don't start bleeding and blending into each other. Now these I'm just keeping very, very simple. I'm just picking up that cardinal paint and painting it on the box or onto the gift. Now I'll go ahead and dry that and move on. So just to give this white a finished look, I'm using that earthen color again and just putting a touch of a shadow on that. So it's still white, but it doesn't look like I forgot to paint it. Making sure not doing anything just special, just kind of sketchy and leaving some white areas on the gifts. This is our sky color. I'm putting just a touch of that onto the present. And then I'm going to switch to the very smallest tip, our smallest paintbrush in our set, and I'm picking up our chocolate color and just going over a couple of these lines. It's very easy to do with that nice fine tip on the round brush, the smallest one that's included in that paintbrush set. So I'll use the cutout dies to cut him out and we'll start working on the card. So this die is from our elegant frames, and you're going to see this in lots of the cards at the end of this video. And so I'm going to ink that up with a little Toffee Crunch ink using an ink blending tool and a foam pad, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment using Ranger Archival ink, and I'm just stamping that on a vertical sort of arrangement. Now this is our die cut from our 3 snowflakes die. I love the size of these, and I'm just patting that with a little, I believe it's Peacock Feathers Distress Ink. I'll list all of the colors down in the YouTube description box below. Actually, everything I'm using is listed for you down there. So I put that Peacock Feathers on and then just a touch of Toffee Crunch ink right on top of those, and I think that just gives them like a little bit more of a vintage feel and ties into that overall feel of that polar bear coloring. So these frames here are also our elegant frames. It's a really neat set. It has different sort of layers, real intricate dies that you can use, or use more of the frame. You can see those pieces there, the intricate die. That does come apart, but I wanted to keep them together, and it creates this really nice look. It almost looks embossed, but it's not. And you can use them together like this or separate them. There's so many different ways to use them. I'll link down in the YouTube description box below a blog post that shows all of the cards that you're seeing here today. And so if you see any stamps or dies or things that I haven't mentioned, that you can look up exactly what is used on each card. So that'll be down in the YouTube description box below. So there's that piece that I inked already, and I'm just situating that inside of that frame. So I have that background layer, that's the internal piece of that die. Then there is the outermost layer, which I'm going to layer up a couple just for extra dimension here. But there's also that very thin sort of middle layer that I'm keeping as one, like one layer thick. So you can see now, here comes our scene. So we've got this great frame in the background. It's a really fun way to use your frames to, even if you're stitched frames or some more detailed design like this elegant frame I have in the background, then just put your snowy scene down at the bottom. So I've tucked that bear into that festive frame sort of snowbank border. I'm adding my snowflakes around the image, and then I will just put that bear and that festive family, that's that snowbank down at the bottom, down at the bottom. So that's kind of how I've reinterpreted or reimagined this sketch. I've kept that frame, or I've kept that snowbank and the animal down below, but for my scene in the background, I'm incorporating some frames. And you will see that when I share the rest of the cards that I've made using this sketch here in just a minute. So I'm trimming off the excess, and now this standard size card panel will be ready for any type of card base that I want to put it on. And I also decided to add just a few self-adhesive pearls to dress up those snowflakes. So here is a look at the finished cards, the one we just created now. That has that elegant frames. That's the largest frame in that set. And you can see those different layers of the frame. What a beautiful look that gives the card. Very easy to do. Now this is still a standard size card. I've still used the elegant frames, but I've used a smaller size. So you can see that snowbank at the bottom, but the background has a smaller size frame. And then I also pulled in that bird and the branch. Now here I've gone a landscape view. You can still see the snowbank and the critters tucked in, but I've used our plated frames, that circular frame in the background, and I've pulled in some embossing folders. Here I did my scene inside of our oval whirl die and added just some embossing and inking to the background. So lots of different ways you can interpret this sketch and pull in those frames for something unique, something a little bit different, or put your scene like I've done here inside of the frame. So lots of ways again to use this sketch, and I hope this whole video series has gotten you inspired and giving you lots and lots of ideas for creating your Christmas cards, especially if you have a lot to make and you want to make them unique and not get bored in the process. Thank you again for being a part of watching this video series, for all your likes, all your comments, and for subscribing to our channel. Remember, you can continue to connect with Penny Black for inspiration on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram, our website, and blog. And all the things I've talked about are linked for you down in the description box below. Happy stamping!